Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to another episode of New Music Finds. I've got 17 CDs here to run through with you, so I got a lot of cool stuff. I get my stuff from Amazon, eBay, my local record stores, like all over the place. So very cool finds this past week, and we're going to run through that in just a bit here. But of course, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do help me out. Leave a comment, hit like, all those things do help. And of course, by turning on notifications, you're going to stay up to date on really cool videos just like this with New Music Finds, where you get to see what I've got, what I'm into, hopefully sparking some new ideas for you as well. I'd like to kick off with new releases. I'm wearing a Police shirt because new Stewart Copeland album called Police Deranged. So this is all Police songs that he has rearranged for orchestra. Now, the initial thought of that doesn't sound all that fascinating or interesting, but the album actually turned out to be really cool. They are just enough different that it makes them interesting, but close enough that you know that they are the Police songs. And there is a full band, drums, bass, guitar, and of course Stewart Copeland playing the drums, and the drums are mixed just right in it, so you can really hear what he's doing, all the little nuances and stuff like that. But I found it very fascinating. There are vocalists on it, which I wasn't thinking was going to be there. I thought it'd be instrumental. But there's 3 women who are fantastic singers. So it's kind of this weird cross between a band with an orchestra. Very unique. I'm actually hoping it does well and they make a second one of this because I've really thoroughly enjoyed it. I know there's people out there who don't like the orchestra mixed with rock music and stuff, but I happen to really enjoy it. And that's a good one there if you do like that sort of stuff. Candlebox. I think this is just called Live at the Neptune Theater. It is an acoustic album featuring all 4 original members of the band. There's the inside of it, back side of it. It's got a great track list. There's 10 songs on it. Of course, it hits all the big stuff. This was kind of a 30th anniversary celebration for the band. They're going to go out now on a farewell tour, and this is just kicking that off. There will be a new studio album from Candlebox coming down the road. Sound on that is great, and like I said, because it's acoustic, that's actually a little more interesting in my opinion than just a straight live album, so I do dig it. All right, so here was some of the cool finds that I got. This first one up blew my mind. If you are an Alice Cooper fan, number one, if you're an Alice Cooper fan of the band Alice Cooper from their original, like 68 up to 73, and this should be cool for you. Michael Bruce, Rock Rolls On album, 1983. I never even knew this thing existed, much less the fact that there was a CD version of this that came out in 2018 on Gonzo Multimedia. They do a lot of prog stuff. They've got releases from Yes, Steve Hackett, Rick Wakeman. I can't even think of all the different bands that are under the Gonzo Multimedia label. But Michael Bruce, of Alice Cooper Band guitar player, solo album from 1983. It's only got 7 tracks, but it does have, it's got re-recordings from 83, so the production on it is much better, and I happen to like the 80s sound of things. But he has this album from 75, My Own Way, or In My Own Way, and so some of these tracks are redone here. If you didn't know, Michael Bruce, Dennis Dunaway, and Neil Smith, 3 members of the Alice Cooper Band, would later record under Billion Dollar Babies and release an album called Battle Axe that's absolutely fantastic. So I dig both of those, and again, finding this. So now this here has some tracks from In My Own Way. It's got 1 song, Too Young, from the Billion Dollar Babies, a couple new songs on here, all recorded brand new in 1983, and I'm absolutely loving it. Only unfortunate thing is it's 7 tracks, about 24 minutes long, but I'm telling you, if you're a fan of that early Alice Cooper, this is it, man. Loving it, just been in my player the whole time. Picked up a Bryan Adams Greatest Hits. Now, this isn't just any typical Greatest Hits. This is one of those, I don't know if it's Russian or where it's from, but it's you know, says it's Polydor. I just think all of the rights and regulations are different in those other countries, and so I don't really know if these are bootlegs or real. What I like about them is that they cover the entire career. They put tracks on here that would never normally make it onto a best of. It focuses on the new material as much as the old material. And this one here went through in particular and grabbed up a lot of the bonus tracks that would appear on greatest hits and anthologies and other stuff that he has. So it's putting them all together for once on here. So it's actually like hearing a bunch of songs that I don't really know very well that are new to me, because I don't really pull out those collections all that often. So this was kind of cool to get a hold of. Happened to, oh, the other thing that I like about these, besides that, is even if they're bootleg, they master it all so it has the same sound quality. So whether it's grabbing something from the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, or the 2010s, they mix it all at the same level. It has really great sound to it. So anytime you see these sort of greatest hits packages that, like I said, come from Russia or something, and they look a little suspect like that, I've gotten a way to figure out which ones are which, but they always turn out to be good. And I got that. These two things plus the next two things that I'm showing you all came from Sound Exchange. So these weren't things like I ordered on eBay or something. I went to a record store and I found some of these cool things in there. This was still sealed on the shelf in there. And this was in the used CDs. These next two were in the used CDs. And yes, I have bought my first Richard Marx album. It's called Rush Street from 1991. Back in the day, if you had told me I was going to buy a Richard Marx album, I would have said you're absolutely nuts. But this one here, I always liked the fifth song on it called Hazard. They made a music video for it. I thought it was fantastic. I debated and I never bought it at the time. And it was in the dollar cart at Sound Exchange. So I said, you know what? I'm finally going to take a chance and buy it. What was really cool is not only is the album really good, but Steve Lukather of Toto appears on here and co-writes and stuff. And I think some of the other guys do, but it's actually a rock album. I'm gonna have to check out some more of his stuff. I don't know how much I like that early 80s stuff from the first two albums, but I do dig this. And yeah, so I picked one of those up. I know some of you guys out there are Richard Marx fans too, so you're probably clapping right now. And some of you guys are like, what? And then I found this, a U2 3-disc EP or single, if you will. It was a Best Buy exclusive, but it's got 3 live tracks from the Boston concert that I've only got available as a DVD. So I always like getting the music when I can get the music, and this was, I think this was on the dollar cart too. So I mean, I didn't pay much for any of this. This was all very inexpensive. Cool. All right, so you guys have now seen my Let's Go to the Record Store, Princeton Record Exchange, or Princeton Exchange visit, and boy, did I make out from that so much good stuff. 11 CDs that I came back with. That is one of the places that you can always get lots of CDs. If you don't know Princeton Record Exchange, but you're a fan of Sound Exchange, they're about an hour apart, and it is totally worth making the trip. All right, first up, Urchin. This is with Adrian Smith of Iron Maiden, his early new wave of British heavy metal band, Urchin. I didn't even know anything from this group was out there, and I fell in love with it. They've got one other release. These all came out after the band. You know, this is a like 2010 or something release where they packaged up the old stuff, but so good. If you've never checked this stuff out, it just is early, good, straight up hard rock even. It's not Iron Maiden, but you can totally hear where Adrian Smith is going and why he was selected to be in Iron Maiden. All right, TSOL, True Sons of Liberty, compilation album, Hell and Back Together, 1984 to 1990 on the Restless Records label. I always liked that era of the band best, and they've collected it together here, so that's cool. Nothing revelatory about it, but I do like my compilation albums, rounding out the catalogs and stuff like that, and when they're good ones, like that one is, definitely interested. Okay, Alvin Lee, Let It Rock. Just good stuff. I don't know much about him. 10 years after, guitar player, that kind of thing. I've got a couple albums by this guy. A couple bonus tracks on this one, Snake Jam and Break Jam included on this. But I always thought that album cover was very cool. And a lot of these I was getting for $5.99 and stuff like that. Here's one I just picked up because I've been buying these recently, but I did not know how much I would enjoy this one. Les Dudek. The album is Say No More. It is the Columbia Records edition of this thing. And man, was it good. That's what I was saying. Like, I just had such a good score this last go round. This next one, Chilliwack, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. You Canadian people, because it's a Canadian band, let me know if I'm saying that right. Opus X, Opus 10. I got one other Chilliwack album, and Brian Too Loud McLeod, I think, is part of this lineup. Somebody said, or not somebody, a bunch of you guys said, you got to check out Opus X. And I did. And so when I saw this on CD, because it's out of print, I went ahead and grabbed it. I'm so glad I did. And I'm so glad you guys gave me that recommendation, because I've just absolutely been enjoying this. I picked up a Wounded Bird Records release of Photomaker, Transfer Station. Have this one on vinyl. They're sort of cross between rock meets disco. It's hard to explain, not even sure why it's being reissued. It kind of seems a little odd to me, but it's very cool. And I don't recognize any of the names of the people. I just know I think they had 3 albums out. I think I have 2 of the 3 so far on vinyl. But I found this, and anytime I can find the stuff on CD, I love picking it up. Took a chance on this one and fell in love with it. Manfred Mann's Earth Band, Somewhere in Africa. I love the way it's spelled with, a little differently than it should be. This is, of course, it's got Manfred Mann on keyboards, but Blinded by the Light, I think, was their big hit that they had, and this is a very 80s sounding album. That was the thing. I turned it over. I saw that it was 1984 release. It's also on the One Way Records label, which is a cool reissue label. But it was just one of those things where I was just taking chances on stuff, and I walked out of there and I wasn't all that blown away. But once I got a chance to sit down and listen to it, oh, so much better. Grabbed this, Bill Wyman, Monkey Grip, debut solo album. I think it was 74. 1974. And I've tried his stuff before, and it never really clicked with me. I'm not into his Rhythm King stuff and everything, and his music was always a little hokey. This is too, but I have to say, this is probably the closest to a rock album that I've heard him make. And while we got a few things on here that are maybe questionable, all in all, I enjoy it, and it was good. I'm very glad to add it to the collection. This is another One Way Records. I didn't realize I've got 2. I picked up 2 One Way Records reissues stuff, so that was cool. Found this, never seen this before, Grape Jam by Moby Grape. This was a bonus disc to the Wow album, and it never all fit on one disc, and they never did it as a 2 CD pack. Well, I won't say never, but the stuff that I was finding wasn't coming that way. So it was always edited out, and this is finally the full jam that was done that was part of that second disc. So I got a CD copy of that now. John Lawton from Uriah Heep, Lucifer's Friend, Heartbeat, also known as Hardbeat. I think there's some various versions of it in here. Collects together. It was a solo album that he was trying to make at the time. And I think it did come out, but kind of flew under the radar, sort of a thing. This is a reissue of it. Don't really care for the art on it. I'm going to try to find a better version of this. As Anthony always says to me, you can buy it now and upgrade later, so that's probably what I'll do. But I did like the music from that. I know there is a compilation of his work coming out. I think it's in August, so celebrating the life of John Lawton. I think that's what it's called. Maybe a bunch of this is going to turn up on there. I'm going to have to check. And to round out my Ozzy collection, it was the only Ozzy album I didn't own. I own all the live albums, everything, except this one, Tribute. I know a bunch of you guys are screaming right now because some of you guys think that's the greatest thing Ozzy ever did, because it's got the Randy Rhoads and it was a tribute. And I think this thing sold 5 million at the time because it was kind of a big deal, 1985 or 86, whenever it came out. I just never picked it up because it's a live album, and I've always enjoyed all the other stuff, but I found it there. It was inexpensive, couple bucks, and I was like, well, time to round out the collection on Ozzy. So finally, have completed that. But there you go. What did I say? 17, I think, CDs that I got. And just what a good release week. Again, I'm going to promote this one because if you can track down Michael Bruce Rock Rolls On, even though it's only 7 tracks in 24 minutes, I have thoroughly enjoyed this and would highly recommend that to you guys if you are Alice Cooper Band fans. All right, everyone. Have a good one. Take care. Let me know what you guys got, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Bye-bye, everyone.